They reported 13 inches in 12 hours, 15 inches in 24. Probably the deepest snow that I've ever seen in 25 years here at Park City. They announced 14 inches overnight. 13 inches, not even just overnight, but in 12 hours. 11, 12 centimeters overnight is about 4 or 5 inches, about 40 inches of snow. More often than not, it's the journey, the anticipation, the story, the buildup that comes with falling asleep knowing that tomorrow might be a powder day. You know that the forecast, you know that some snow is coming. Like, you go to sleep, almost sleeping with one eye open, like waking up in the morning to like seeing that forecast actually fulfilled, 6, 8, 10 inches of new snow. It's that whole process that I think almost gets forgotten sometimes because we're always after the actual skiing and the actual reward. But at the end of the day, I think what makes a powder day so incredibly special is everything that you have to go through and get through to actually finally reap the rewards of when you get off the lift and you have a run of untracked snow or whatever it is in front of you. Now, there's obviously a positive correlation between the amount of snow, the amount of powder that there is, and how epic of a day that powder day becomes. But not always is the case, and some days might not even be the sickest powder day you've ever had in terms of snowfall, but just everything that leads up to it and gets you to that point is what made that day so special. So because we had so many epic, legendary powder days last year, I wanted to just relive my top 7 powder days from last year. It would be hard for me to exclude Deer Valley opening day from this list. We have a POW day for opening day in November of Deer Valley. This is Deer Valley's earliest opening day ever. In the history of Deer Valley, they have never opened in November. We had been skiing like opening day sort of stuff for the month of November and whatnot, so it was kind of like our first taste of like some actual, okay, we got like nearly a foot of snow. It felt like it was like February conditions in November. Parts about this day in November was that even though the base was so little, it still felt like there was like a solid amount of snow out there. Like, it wasn't like you were skiing on top of rocks and branches and grass with 10 inches. It still felt, it almost felt like a really deep, true powder day. Deer Valley ended up opening early, there just wasn't any people out on this day. So it felt like we had like just countless untracked runs right down Red Cloud, just one after the other. And then when that eventually got skied up, we ended up going into Ontario Bowl, which is just sort of crazy terrain to be skiing on the first day of the year for a mountain like that. But then we were able to just lap Ontario Bowl and just feel like had as much snow as we wanted. I have just skied so much POW today. It's been amazing. Stoke is just, you can't even calculate the level of the stoke right now. That's how high the stoke is and has been ever since I went to sleep last night. I just knew today was going to be epic. And we got started right at 9 a.m. and it's been 4.5 hours of just POW. I mean, it was just one of those days that I think I will always remember because of the combination of the opening day and the fresh snow. And it's kind of like that whole thing morphed together to make it an awesome powder day. I mean, 10 inches is a lot of snow, but the fact that it was like an opening day, first time at Deer Valley, like November, it just kind of cultivated to like making it a pretty sick day. We're literally going from like the beginning of the season almost to like the very end of the season for number 6, and this was a bottomless Park City powder day. And the reason why this is on the list is because for me, it was one of the truly nostalgic, classic Park City powder days for me, where the upper mountain is closed. So we kind of went over to McConkey's to sort of ski that while we waited for Avi control, did like 2, 3, 4 laps there, and then Jupiter opened. So if you're ever at McConkey's and there's continuously a line, and then you come down to McConkey's and there's no more line, it typically means everyone pieced out to Pioneer below. It's just something I'm so used to, and like that whole strategy and configurement of McConkey's to Jupiter, then just skiing Jupiter for the rest of the day. It was just like a nostalgic classic powder day.
I've been a real bad boy on the town all night. Starting to calm down with the morning light. I'm in the
You can see my face, my helmet. It's pretty toasted.
Face
so
shots.
Met up with Joe for a few laps.
Those are the proverbial Lucas face shots. Only
Yeah.
he can capture those.
This was actually one of the few powder days of the year where I was not concerned with trying to like beat the powder panic. I was like, I'm just gonna take my time, have fun, and if I score some good snow, I score some good snow. So I was actually behind the whole rush by a lot, but it just ended up being incredible because even being late to Jupiter, we got over there and we still had our own little zone that we always skied. No one was there, and just had, again, just like free refills till the bell. I ended up meeting up with my dad, Papa Joe. We did some laps together, which is just, it's always a special time when I ski with my dad. It was almost one of those days that kind of made me feel like a kid again because of just how it all played out, the amount of snow, the quality of the snow, then being there with my dad. And yeah, I mean, who doesn't love just one of those like classic Jupiter Pow days where it's just like 700-800 feet of vert, short laps, get it in, and just go right to the bell. So that was a good day. The Snowbird Storm Day was pretty crazy, and I think the whole story and the journey of this might kind of take the cake. All in all, it was hard for me not to put this one higher, but this was at the tail end of a sick New Year's Eve storm, and this was my first time on the ARG 133s. Just this massive powder ski that I honestly never thought I'd really use. Joe and I decided to go down to Little Cottonwood Canyon. They reported like a foot of snow in 8 hours, 15 in like 24. So Little Cottonwood Canyon was actually closed. And I remember we were waiting just like on the street for like 2 hours. And then they finally announced that Little Cottonwood was gonna open at 8 o'clock. And then it took us like, no joke, probably 2 hours just to get up Little Cottonwood. Once we finally got there, they announced that they were closing Little Cottonwood at 11. So it was like, hey, if you're not up here by 11, we're closing the road for avalanche work again. Total storm skiing at Snowbird with fresh snow on the ARGs, like very low visibility, high winds. And it was one of those where it's like, you're just totally battling the elements at the top of Hidden Peak off the tram, just trying to like work your way down into the trees a little bit. So you had like some visibility. I remember I was just so amazed with the rocker on that ARG. Like I had never used this ski that had so much of a rocker on the tips that it's like you just floated in the powder like without even trying. You didn't have to do anything. So it was cool to actually use like a 100% purpose-built powder ski. Look at how much these float. It was really rewarding after all that in the morning to finally like reap the rewards of it. But I think perhaps one of the sickest parts of it was all the chaos after the fact. Do you guys need a shovel? Papa Joe's helping shovel out this person. This person just got stuck in front of me now too. Oh no. Throughout the avalanche work during the day, there was actually an avalanche that got triggered across Little Cottonwood Canyon. So the road had been closed for a while, so no one could leave. People at Alta, Snowbird, like no one could actually go down the canyon. And then they finally cleared it and opened it up at like 3:30. And it was just like a free for all. People were just coming down from Alta, Snowbird. And so people were getting stuck. It was just like after Rip and Powell Day to then have that, it was like just one of those all-encompassing 12, 13-hour days just to ski POW, and it's like, why are we like this? Why are we doing it? But that was just one of the sickest days of the year. December 28th in Mammoth, California. This was one of my first powder days at a brand new resort. And I think that's always exciting because I'm so used to skiing powder. Like, it's easy. I don't say it's easy, but it's a different experience to ski POW when you know the mountain. You know where your zones are. You know how to ski the mountain during a storm. I don't really know how much snow actually fell overnight, but I have always had this sort of like vision or goal of like skiing like one of these California like storms. And it was just kind of the first time where I was in a new place and I actually truly was able to get a powder day. I feel like other times in California, I struggle even on the storms. Like I can't ever really capture a good day. Everything was closed on the bottom part of the mountain. They had to like lift the chairs up because they were too low because of all the snowfall. So everything was closed, and I was trying to meet up with Abe Kislitz for the first time. And I remember I was in the Mill parking lot and everything was on hold, but the other like Eagle parking lots, people were like getting off the bottom. So I was like, man, I got to get over there or else I'm just gonna miss my window. So I remember I like literally hiked and skated.
I'm just gonna skate and hike my way over because the other lifts are open over there. So I'm working my way through this uphill route in hopes to get over there.
Point again is like all that journey, that story to like kind of get over there to then meet up with Abe. Then we ended up skiing chair 22. I think we did chair 5. Then like the back area was open, the dragon tail, dragon back, chair 14 or 9, chair 9. And we ended up skiing right to the end of the day. Day out there, but fresh snow, Mammoth Mountain, it was like just super sick. We've cracked into the top 3, and it's honestly hard for me to actually like rank these against each other because every day is special in its own way. But Sunrise, I mean, this was my first time ever like working with a resort like I did with Deer Valley, and my first time getting like an early up sort of deal where I got to go up at 7:30. They had like 14 inches in 24 hours, like maybe 4 or 5 overnight. To be able to be on a chairlift at like 7:30 in Sunrise, knowing you're gonna like you have the mountain to yourself, you're gonna ski POW.
I don't think I've never skied this early before. Yeah,
It is early.
I usually have at least one more cup of coffee in me, but
I know,
maybe I will stop a little bit, but ooh, it looks good.
Half the time you're always like trying to battle your way into skiing POW, but this it was like, no, take your time. Before the mountain had even opened to the public, I got like 4 runs of just pure face shots. I remember I was able to film Ryan, like just some super slow-mo shots of him just like, you know, big smile on his face, just like enjoying the POW. And I think that's some of my most favorite stuff to capture is other people having fun skiing. And so whenever I have an opportunity to do that, I always take it. And it's just like, I think in that case, Ryan and Deer Valley like wanted me to have fun and have a good time, but it was weird because like I wanted Ryan to have fun, and so for me to be able to capture that and be there with him, it just makes it so much more special when you have people to enjoy it with. Is kind of what I'm getting at. But as if like that wasn't enough, after we skied POW in the morning, because I was with Ryan, he gave me like he had the beta, the information on when Empire was gonna open up.
Soon. Okay.
I think it's worth it.
I will wait then.
Thank you.
I can't wait to hear about it. Let's go.
Take care.
Have you guys ever had first chair down Empire?
Yeah.
You have? Oh wow, look at you guys. This is my first time ever.
I was able to get first chair up Empire, first tracks, first run, right down Empire Bowl, which was just it's such a sick run. And to have like all that snow to myself, getting like hooting and hollering from the chairlift, it was just like, I remember I looked at the clock, it was like 9:30. I was like, wow, I'm like already done for the day. I've skied enough POW, like I'm satiated, I'm good. But then I spent the rest of the day skiing the daily chutes, and I think I was done by like 2 o'clock. Then I went and had s'mores, dinner, all that sort of stuff. So again, the whole experience, but getting up early, having the mountain to myself, like sunrise shred, POW day, sick. Top 2, we're going back till before Christmas, back to California. The long and short of this one is I had went to California to chase one of the superstorms in Tahoe, and it had been like 2 or 3 days of just wind, tons of snow, closures, and then finally the storm broke. Now we can ski. Okay, so you're telling me we're gonna be socked in for the last like 3 days of just crazy storms, and now Tahoe decides to be Bluebird Day, sunshine, absolute beauty. And this is really like a pure case of that it's way more than the actual skiing, because honestly, like the powder day itself, lots of people like didn't really get like super fresh tracks, but it was everything that went on before that. I'll ever forget trying to open up my driver's side door and it wouldn't open because the plow plowed the snowbank right up to my door, and that's how much snow there was in the morning. It was me and 2 other van homies. We all dug ourselves out and then skied for the day. But that whole storm was the sickest, one of the sickest things, if not the sickest thing I experienced in the van. The #1 spot took place on the first day of the new year. This was like ultimately like a 3-4 day storm. I remember getting off the chairlift on the bottom on Silver Star. And like the first run I did, dude, it was just like in my face. The upper mountain didn't even open because there's so much snow. They had so much avalanche work to do, and it just didn't stop snowing. So I remember Joe and I skied like lower stuff, like Pioneer. We ended up doing some McConkeys, I think, but never up to Jupiter. And that was one of the first times in my life where there was so much snow that Jupiter's didn't open for the day. But we knew that eventually they had to open it, and no one had been skiing up there. So we went back out the next day, and there was upwards of 40 inches of snow up there. I remember we had first tracks down 6 bells.
Oh my God! Oh! 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 Look at this! Oh! 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 Oh my! Dude! That was the sickest 6 bells run of my life.
I remember we were like right down the main bowl off M Rock. Just some accolades that are always just like, are pretty nice to have when you're up at Jupiter, and to do it in 40 inches of snow. I think we're on the White Walkers too, like just absolutely stupid. I think the New Year's storm has got to take the #1 spot. It's kind of like that perfect balance of amount of snowfall, kind of story behind it, just all the juice like leading up to it. Park City New Year's Eve storm, number 1. I hate to kind of rank the powder days because it's not really about that. It's not about like which powder day is better than the other one. But if you think about it, the actual skiing of the snow, that's not what makes those days special. And I try not to take any of them for granted. And here's to having 7 more solid powder days in the 2023-2024 season. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you thought of it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy, fam. Peace out.